So we all know that the 2024 NBA draft is tonight, but let's have a little fun before it, and let's give out our 2024 free agency prediction. I will say, I don't have great luck in predicting these guys and where they're going sometimes. This year, there's only 6 teams that have cap space right now in the Detroit Pistons, Philadelphia 76ers, Orlando Magic, Utah Jazz, Oklahoma City Thunder, and the San Antonio Spurs. But obviously, teams can create cap space in different ways. Just remember how Miami got Jimmy Butler back in 2019. So I'm going to be going through the top 20 free agents and predicting where they're going to end up. If you agree or disagree with any of my predictions, please let me know down below and let me know where you think these guys are going in the 2024 free agency period. And oh yeah, make sure you're subscribed. I'm going to be live streaming the whole first round of tonight's NBA draft and may even go live on day 2 as well. So let's start things off with an obvious one. LeBron James is a free agent. Most likely he's going to opt out of his player option. And if he does, I do think he's going back to the Lakers, right? Like, I don't think he ends up in Philadelphia. He's not signing no veteran minimum in Phoenix to play with Bronny if they drafted him. So I do believe that LeBron James is going to be going back to the Lakers. Could it be a 1-year deal? Could be a 1+1. It could be a full 3-year max. I'm sure now that they have JJ Redick, he wants to stay around for a little bit, and I do expect LA to try to land a big fish this upcoming offseason. Next up, we're going to talk about Tobias Harris, and I do believe that Tobias Harris is not going back to the Philadelphia 76ers, and I do think he's going to be a Detroit Piston, a team he's played for before. Tobias Harris did play 2.5 years for the Pistons before getting traded for Blake Griffin back in 2018. He averaged 17 points and 5 rebounds a night for the Pistons. In this past season for the Philadelphia 76ers, he averaged 17 points, 6.5 rebounds, and shot 49% from the field, but he was not aggressive enough in the playoffs. I do think that he's going to be signing with the Detroit Pistons, a team that has a lot of cap space and needs to add guys that can create their own shot, that can get a bucket and take some of the load off of Cade Cunningham at times. And I do think that it's a perfect match with the Detroit Pistons and Tobias Harris. Just don't give him like a 4-year max, Detroit. I expect the 76ers to make multiple big splashes this offseason, and I do think they're going to end up getting Kentavious Caldwell-Pope from the Denver Nuggets, who has a player option. Now, who knows? By the time you're seeing this, he may have opted into his player option and re-signs with Denver, but I do think if he tests the open market, Philly could be a perfect spot for him. Philadelphia desperately needs guys that can complement Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, and they do have the cap space to go out and get KCP, and he shouldn't cost too much where it's going to handicap them to get other free agents. KCP is coming off a season for the Denver Nuggets where he averaged 10 points, 2.5 rebounds, and 2.5 assists a night. He shot 46% from the field and 41% from 3, as well as 89% from the line, and KCP is just a pinnacle 3-and-D guy. He was a good defender this year. He can knock down threes and would be a good veteran for Philadelphia as they're trying to just make it to the conference finals for the first time with Joel Embiid on their team. So let's bang out some obvious ones as well. Like Tyrese Maxey is a restricted free agent. He's obviously going back to the Philadelphia 76ers on the biggest possible deal he can sign. Maxey was an all-star in the 2024 NBA season. He averaged 26 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists a night. He shot 45% from the field, 37% from 3, and 87% from the line. He's one of the best guards overall in the Eastern Conference. And obviously Philadelphia would match whatever offer he gets on the open market. Shout out to Tyrese Maxey, not signing a deal last year with Philadelphia that may not have been the full rookie extension max, but we'll get it this offseason 100%. And another obvious restricted free agent that I do believe is re-signing with their team, and that is going to be Emmanuel Quickley with the Toronto Raptors. He basically headlined the OG Anunoby deal, and last year in 38 games for the Toronto Raptors, he averaged 18 points, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds, and shot 40% from 3. I'm super high on Emmanuel Quickley in 2025. I think he's going to be well worth whatever he gets in free agency. Now, if it's $40 million, that may be expensive, but if he ends up getting that nice sweet spot between $27 million to $35 million, I think that's well worth it for Emmanuel Quickley, who's also a very underrated defender as well, and is going to help lead the charge with Scotty Barnes into this retool phase in Toronto. All right, Klay Thompson, I'm going to do it. I'm going to say that he's going to sign with the Orlando Magic in this free agency class. Orlando Magic has a ton of money to spend, and with Malik Monk re-signing in Sacramento, they got to get the next best shooter on the open market. Obviously, KCP would fit this team great, but I think KCP is trying to win a championship, and Orlando may be a year or two away. They can give Klay a decent amount of money per year, and he unfollowed Golden State on Instagram. Like, did he follow back? There's a lot of weird rumors with Klay and Golden State right now, and I'm going to predict he's going to sign with the Orlando Magic. Let's have some fun. Klay's coming off a year where he averaged 18 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists a night. He shot 43% from the field, 39% from 3, and 93% from the line. He did start 63 out of the 77 games, experimented a little bit with coming off the bench in the second half of the year. Obviously, he's not what he used to be on the defensive end of the floor, but he can still be a really good three-point shooter. And with Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner being able to attack the rim in so many different ways, there could be a lot of open looks for Klay Thompson for a team that could desperately use a veteran presence. I'm not really sure if San Antonio is going to look to get a franchise point guard in this upcoming draft. they could draft guys like Stephon Castle, who has question marks as a one long-term. They could go for guys like Dalton Connect, Tijon Salon, Cody Williams. So let's grab them a good playmaking point guard in free agency in Tyus Jones and have him team up with his brother Trey in San Antonio. Man, that would be kind of cool, right? Like Tyus Jones being the starting point guard and Trey Jones being the backup point guard. And Tyus Jones can get Wemby the ball. He can get Devin Vassell the ball. He played in 66 games last year for the Washington Wizards, averaging 12 points, 3 rebounds, and 7 assists a night. He shot 49% from the field, 41% from 3, and 80% from the line. Obviously, there's some question marks defensively, but San Antonio could look to add some other defenders in free agency or throughout the draft as well. They have one of the best defenders in the league at their center position in Victor Wembanyama, and Tyus Jones can team up with his brother Trey just to help get Wemby the ball. And San Antonio could definitely use a veteran presence at the point guard position rather than getting a 19-year-old in the room. And they're going to have $21 million to spend. They might as well use it. Also for Chris Paul, the moment I'm recording this, his contract hasn't been fully guaranteed by the Warriors. They may decide to give him the $30 million to help leverage that and matching salary in a trade if they wanted to go out and get a big name. If he does hit free agency, I do think he would sign with the San Antonio Spurs as well, give a veteran point guard presence in the room, and that could result in Tyus Jones re-signing with Washington. So if Chris Paul hits free agency, I think he goes to the Spurs and Tyus Jones back to Washington. But if he stays with the Warriors, then I think it's just straight up Tyus Jones to San Antonio. All right, a big name here, Isaiah Hartenstein. I do believe that he's going to re-sign with the New York Knicks. I do think the Knicks could look to move Mitchell Robinson this offseason, and they are capped at giving Hartenstein 4 years, $76 million with his early bird rights. So teams like Detroit or OKC could outbid the Knicks for Hartenstein. So the Knicks can give him around $17, $18 million a year. I don't really see Detroit or OKC offering him $25 million a year when they have to pay some other guys as well and hit on some different positions. So I do think even if it's for a couple million less per year, I think Hartenstein's going to take the deal to stay with the New York Knicks, and the Knicks are going to be able to re-sign their starting center next year. All right, so a quick update here. The Knicks obviously traded for Mikal Bridges, so that's going to change up my Isaiah Hartenstein prediction a little bit. Maybe there is a world where the Knicks trade Mitchell Robinson and re-sign Isaiah Hartenstein, but I don't think that's very likely anymore. So I do believe that the OKC Thunder are going to go out and get Isaiah Hartenstein as well. OKC does have cap space, so yeah, I think they're going to be able to pull it off and bring in Hartenstein to get some much needed rebounding help. All right, another big free agent that I do think is going to be re-signing is OG Anunoby with the New York Knicks. Now this one could be a little bit interesting. OG did opt out of his $18 million player option the other day. Like, duh. People were like making a big deal out of this. Like, OG is going to get $30+ million on the open market. Why would he opt into his player deal? And there's a chance OG Anunoby could get $40 million a year from the New York Knicks. They could offer him $50 million with the full max. There may be some injury clauses in there because over the last couple of seasons, OG has never played over 70 games since his rookie year in 2018. He's had a very injury-riddled career, but he's a very important player to this Knicks team and what they want to do. He's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, and when he wants to be aggressive, he could score 20+ points a night. And what makes me feel a little bit more confident as a Knicks fan that he's going to re-sign with the Knicks, his agent, Nick Rose, is the son of the Knicks general manager, Leon Rose. And when the Knicks gave up RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley to go out and get him, there had to be like a wink deal, right? That he was going to re-sign with the Knicks eventually. So I'm pretty confident that he's going to sign with the Knicks, but it would be kind of crazy if he doesn't and he could end up in like a Philadelphia or an Oklahoma City. Or what if Detroit just gives him $50 million a year? And yeah, even after the Mikal Bridges news, I do think that the Knicks are still re-signing OG. And speaking of Detroit, let's have them get Miles Bridges, who played at Michigan State, and he's going to go back to the state of Michigan and sign with the Detroit Pistons. In 69 games last year, Miles Bridges averaged 21 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists a night, shot 46% from the field, 35% from 3, 82% from the line. Obviously, there's a lot of bad PR you're going to get in signing Miles Bridges, but for a team like Detroit, they need anybody that could score the ball next year, and I wouldn't be surprised if they went out and gave Miles Bridges a multi-year deal, and Charlotte lets him walk with a new regime there in Charlotte. It was a good trade, in my opinion, for Chicago to move Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey. I don't know why, though, but I think they're going to re-sign DeMar DeRozan. DeRozan is coming off a year where he played 79 games, averaged 24 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists. He shot 48% from the field, and he's honestly one of the more underrated players in the NBA, in my opinion. He's still a super efficient scorer, and yeah, he's not an elite defender by any means, but he can win you basketball games, and he's getting up there at 34 years old, and Chicago could throw him a 3-year max contract, and I do believe that they want to try to stay competitive, and they're going to go out and give him that deal. It's tough to predict. Maybe Detroit offers him a lot of money, but I don't know if he would rather go to Detroit than Chicago. There could be a sign and trade with the Lakers, the Clippers. Those are possibilities as well, or maybe even Miami, but I'm going to play it safe, and I'm going to think he goes back to the Bulls. Bulls. The Brooklyn Nets are desperate right now, and they have to bring back Nick Claxton, who is an unrestricted free agent. Claxton averaged 12 points and 10 rebounds last year for the Brooklyn Nets, and he shot 63% from the field and averaged over 2 blocks a night. He's just 25 years old, and he was a second-round pick back in the 2019 draft, so that means he didn't have to be a restricted free agent in this upcoming free agency class. And yeah, a team like Oklahoma City could go out and try to give him a really big deal, or maybe a team like Utah as well, but I think the Nets, who do have their bird rights on him, are going to re-sign Nick Claxton because they have no choice. They don't have their draft pick next year. That's going to Houston. They can't afford to be bad in the 2025 season, and signing Nick Claxton helps you remain somewhat competitive, and that seems like the direction they want to stay in. All right, for the Nets, I still think they could re-sign Nick Claxton, but I'm going to throw out the New Orleans Pelicans into this. I don't think that they are bringing back Jonas Valanciunas, and if Nick Claxton doesn't re-sign with the Nets now that they're entering into a full rebuild, I think there could be a sign and trade with New Orleans on the table. And another move I think they could do to stay competitive is signing Russell Westbrook. Now, there's not a lot of point guards on this Nets team right now. You have Dennis Schroeder. What is Ben Simmons at this point, right? And maybe they go out and trade for a Trae Young or DeJounte Murray and somebody like that. But I do think that Russell Westbrook is going to opt out of his $4 million player option with the Clippers. There could be a sign and trade involved in this, but I think the Nets, who want to stay competitive next year, that aren't going to have a top 8 roster on paper in the Eastern Conference, can go out and get Russell Westbrook, who's not the Russell Westbrook of old, but he could still help you win games at this point of his career. He's going to give 110% every night. He averaged 11 points, 5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists last year for the Clippers, shot 45% from the field, and was one of the better bench players in the league. And that may be exactly what Brooklyn needs just to stay afloat and not lose out on a top 10 pick in 2025. All right, so obviously, I don't think Russell Westbrook is going to the Brooklyn Nets anymore since they traded away Mikal Bridges. They are finally rebuilding. So, you know what? Russ could definitely return to the Clippers, but I'll throw out a fun prediction. Maybe he goes and signs a minimum contract with the Phoenix Suns. They need some point guard help. He could team up with KD, maybe rekindle their relationship over there, and I could definitely see Matt Ishbia trying to make that type of move. I think the Lakers are going to try to get more athletic this offseason, and someone that had a really good playoff run for Philadelphia is Kelly Oubre, and I think he's going to sign with the LA Lakers. Oubre averaged 15 points, 5 rebounds last year, shot 44% from the field, and did a great job guarding Jalen Brunson in the playoffs. JJ Redick loved talking about Kelly Oubre on his podcast, so maybe there's going to be a connection there. I actually think this would be a nice signing for LA because they're probably going to lose one of their guards, and that is going to be D'Angelo Russell, who I'm predicting is going to sign with the Detroit Pistons. Yeah, the Pistons have $64 million in cap space, so I'm going to predict that they're going to use it on Miles Bridges, Tobias Harris, and D'Angelo Russell. Obviously, that's funny for a couple of reasons, but hey, if these guys can add 10, 15 wins to the Pistons next year, that is a dub for them. I think if they're within 5 games of the play-in tournament, that is the step in the right direction. D'Lo, Bridges, and Tobias Harris can take some of the load off of Cade Cunningham, and that should be Trent Langdon's #1 goal this offseason. D'Lo was really good for the Lakers last year. 18 points, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists throughout the regular season, 46% from the field, 42% from 3, and 83% from the line. I do think he goes to either San Antonio, Utah, Orlando, or Detroit, and I do think Detroit are going to be big spenders this off. Second to last guy we're going to talk about is James Harden. I feel like the Clippers are going to get a deal done. I don't know if it's going to be for a full max extension, but they can't afford to lose Harden, who they gave up multiple assets for back in the beginning of the 2024 season. Harden averaged 16.5 points, 5 rebounds, and 8.5 assists, and shot 43% from the field and 38% from 3 across 72 games in 2024. He's not Houston Rockets Harden, he's not even Brooklyn Nets Harden, but he's still a pretty good player. And finally, my last prediction is going to be for some fun. Yes, Paul George could re-sign with the LA Clippers or opt in. I do think, though, in some way, shape, or form, either it's opting in and getting traded or just flat out opting out and signing with, I think he's going to join the Philadelphia 76ers. So yeah, I have the Philadelphia 76ers adding Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Paul George in my predictions. PG is coming off a season where he averaged 22.5 points, 5 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. He shot 47% from the field, 41% from 3, and 91% from the line, and was an all-star in the 2024 season. He's friendly with Joel Embiid. The Sixers have some cap space, and they want to go out and make a major move. And if it's an opt-in and trade, Philadelphia has some of the Clippers first that they got in the James Harden deal to help soften the blow a little bit for the Clippers losing Paul George. So that is my big prediction. Paul George is going to be a Philadelphia 76er. So yeah, that is going to be for me. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. That was fun to do my official 2024 free agency predictions. Let me know what you agree with or disagree with in the comments below. And like I said, I will be live for the 2024 NBA draft tonight. So make sure you're subscribed and come out and join the stream. It's going to be fun. We're going to talk the draft for a couple hours and just have a good time. And thank you all for watching this video, and I hope I'll see you tonight. Peace.